Because the whole concept is constituted with two parts, belief and narratives. So belief is something very cognitive for us. And the narratives, by the word narratives, what normally we understand is a kind of narration, is a kind of expression on some of the events, some of the stories, and this way. But the whole approach would be actually from a very folkloristic point of view, from a point of view which is basically its base or full ground is in folklore. So when we talk of belief narrative, might be this is normally a new term for us. But if we just go from the title belief narrative to certain examples in our own cultures, this is a cultural concept. It's a concept that has been in our veins. That is why I thought, okay, it is better to begin with a kind of example that might be in my culture. And I hope that you all will be able to relate it very well. So say in my culture, just like in many cultures, there is a concept. The concept is like this, that I'm just giving an example of a spirit, of a river spirit. Okay, let me start with that. So there is a belief that because Assam is a land of rivers, Assam is a land of water bodies, we have a lot of aquatic creatures with us, and especially the fishes. So when it is in a mode that, yes, we have a lot of fishes, but there is also a belief attached to it. The belief is that if a person just goes to any water body, please stick to, okay, it's fine. This slide is fine. I will tell you when it is necessary to change. So this very idea is this is purely this belief, the very word that I'm using is belief. This is purely a community construct. This is a communal construct. It is connected with the all members of a given community. So as I was giving an example of a river spirit, so we have some belief in Assam as I belong to Assam, that if it is in the very time of dawn or in the time of evening, if somebody goes for fishing, then what happens? That they are called by some spirit, which in our local language, in the local language of Assam, we call it Bak. B-A-A-N-K, Bak. So they come to the person who go for fishing at the time of the very early dawn or at the time of evening. So this person, they are called by the Bak, and they are carried away. And people always have got that belief in mind, okay, it is not good to go there in the near the water bodies, at least for fishing during these times. So this is a belief that has come to us with the help of different oral traditions, with the help of some stories. And especially the interesting thing is that when these narratives are told, normally they are told as if the narrator has experienced it. So in the same community, the same kind of ideas might be experienced by different people in different ways. So by different narrations, it has come down from one generation to the other generation, certain stories. And there are some cases in the course of the story which is very mysterious for us, which we might not know the explanations, the implications we might not know. So that is why there might be diversified ideas, and that picture that I have attached to this slide And just thinking about that, the diversification of ideas, diversification of different minds, eyes. I'd be very happy to. I'd be very happy to mention that only for this purpose, only for the purpose of this lecture, I have myself drawn the picture, just thinking about how much diversified ideas that I can input here. So there are two eyes here. Okay, we look at all the things in different ways and different viewpoints. So the belief is, in as far as the question of belief narratives are concerned, these beliefs are connected with a communal construct. It is a construct that is not, basically it is not individual. The experiences that are narrated here, they might be individual experiences, but with the help of or the backdrop of a communal understanding of the whole thing. Okay, the next slide, please. The next slide, please. So here, yeah, thank you. So when we talk of beliefs, narratives, so these two words we have to take into consideration, the narratology and belief. Narratology is something that is narrated, but it is not like the formal reading of some text. So here lies the basic difference between formal reading of a text and narrating a story. So while we talk of the narratology, we basically refer to, as far as the question of folklore is concerned or belief narrative is concerned, this narratology might take different articulation sometimes. So that is why the very word narratology has got a community concern. Secondly, we can also consider one thing, that those tools that are used, those stories, those narrations that are used here, they are sometimes used as tools. Tools for what? Tools to understand what we cannot perceive about the world, what we cannot perceive with the help of our five sense organs, what we do not see, what we do not hear. Whenever thinking about those things, I always remember the romantic age of the English literature, and that is when Samuel Taylor Coleridge talked about the supernatural, what we do not understand. When William Wordsworth also talks about what is unseen, that is half hidden from the eye. He has used the word half hidden. That means we have limitation. As human beings, we have limitation. Limitation for what? Limitation to know the world. So they might be used, these narratives might function as tools to know, to see a road with the help of which we can enter into a world of mystery. The mystery comes from our limitation of perceiving the world. And by that way, we enter into the knowledge of the world. And when we talk of the pragmatism of the belief narratives, and it has got its social action, we will come to the social action in tomorrow's class, because there we will deal with the whole thing very concretely, how it functions as a social action, how it is connected with our understanding of the ecology. But the narratives that we believe, not I believe, that we believe to be true. Next slide, please. So this is a quotation from Marilyn Moats. The concept of belief is so central to the discipline that it is hard to talk about folklore without talking about belief, because it's a folk wisdom. And that wisdom has got a lot of rationalities. The rationalities, because you see, when we are in the age of scientific inventions and discoveries and all, we can just enter into the world with the help of a lot of scientific tools. when these things were not there, when these things were not available to humanity, at the time, also we know that there were a lot of things about wisdom, that the knowledge of the world was disseminated to the people, disseminated to the common people, and mostly with certain oral literature, with the help of some songs, with the help of some practices, with the help of some rituals. So along with this idea, with the help of the belief, with the help of this kind of narratology, what is basically established? So we might have a question that why to enter into the world of these kind of beliefs? So if we see there that it establishes a relationship between an individual or a group with the story that is told or narrated about, basically about nature. So the basic theme of almost all the beliefs narratives that generates a kind of beliefs, they are connected with the natural elements. Nature, I mean everything that is connected with nature, everything upon the surface of the earth. So that is why we know that there are a lot of issues. If we just ask our children about a very interesting word, almost all the children nowadays know it, about a word that is Kappa, kappa. I hope if we ask our children, most of the children know this word kappa. Kappa is a river spirit, and it is a river spirit of Japan. Okay, so there is such an interesting case that they believe that Kappa is a river spirit. It resides in the rivers, and Kappa is worshipped with the help of cucumber and some other fruits. Basically, the cucumber, Kappa is worshipped, and with the advancement of the technology, with the advancement of the scientific inventions and discoveries, so what happened? So people started disbelieving Kappa. So once this kind of happened, so people forgot about Kappa for some reason or other. But when it was discovered that the fish population of Japan was decreasing, and when a lot of studies were held, they understood one thing, that there were certain places in the water bodies of Japan which were not easily overtaken. People did not go to those places. Why they did not go? Because they believe that Kappa resides there. And when it is discovered that these are the places for the breeding of the fishes, then it is understood, oh no, we need this kind of beliefs. Then, now, in different kind of festivals, in different kind of religious ceremonies and other things, they make certain festoon of Kappa. A lot of things come out that Kappa should come back. You see, this is why I have gone to a different example of a different country, because the Kappa is such a popular figure for us. That's why we need Kappa to come back. Why they need Kappa to come back? Because if we believe it to be true, then we can preserve the ecology. We can preserve nature. So the relationship between humanity and nature, man is also a part of the nature. The relationship between humanity and nature, how it is established, yes. The folk wisdom has established with the help of a lot of stories, oral narratives, folk tales. And our belief on them helps us to it is a kind of guide to enter into the world of the knowledge. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So this is just a kind of a thing that, yes, we know that nature is full of a lot of tales. Okay, next slide. Yeah. So as I am talking about folklore, that belief narrative is a part of the folklore, then these kind of ideas, these kind of questions may arise. So whether the narratives are believed to be true, why should we believe them to be true? Does that truth refer to certain factual accuracy? Can we relate them with certain facts around us? Does it depend upon some real life real experiences? If we know these belief narratives, if we know the stories, if we know the folk tales or songs of telling of these kind of stories, can we ourselves also experience these kind of things? So these questions might arise, and an answer to these questions will tell us that how contextually the narratives are understood. Are they only fictional? The narratives are only fictional. And if the narratives are fictional, with the help of the fictions, with the help of these fictional ideas, while narrating narratives, an individual sometimes make himself or herself a character of the story, or his father, or his mother, or someone from his community. We narrate like this. Okay, once when my father passed this jungle, once when one of our family members went to this part of the forest, he has seen this. When one of my elder brother arrives, elder brother was going through this way. The bamboo, it has come down in front of him or her, and it again goes up. So while narrating these kind of stories, yes, we can create a fictional world. And in that fictional world, the experiences of a character, the experiences of some person might be who is known when the narrator is narrating the story, as if he himself is experiencing, or she herself is experiencing. If I tell the stories, might be I'll say, okay, once I had this experience. Why this kind of ideas has come up, whether it has got its real connectivity with the real experiences or not. The next question might arise. Yes, it arises. Does the belief generate action? In the previous slide, I already have mentioned that the belief narratives are connected with social actions. What type of social action it presents? We can have a very we can ask this question on whatever narratives we listen. I also remember one thing. Might be you all are aware of this. When in the childhood, we were taught that when we are moving somewhere, if some elder person's shadows are there, we should not cross it. Might be one of you have different kind of these kind of belief narratives in your mind, in your communities, what you can relate now. If now people do not say. We were told when we were children, and now also this habit is still there with us and with me, that say when I am crossing somewhere, when I am moving somewhere, if I see the shadow of a person, I can automatically just divide from that way. I do not touch the shadow and go. I do not know why I do these things. It is already in my mindset. So it is already in the collective consciousness of my mind. So in the 20th century, I hope all of you are aware of the two world famous psychologists, psychoanalysts, who are Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung. They have, especially Carl Jung, he has coined a term that is called collective unconscious. Collective unconscious. Collective unconscious means in our mind, we have some kind of ideas, not very consciously. in other members of my community, in other members of any given community, this kind of consciousness is always there, which is termed as unconscious, collective unconscious. So that collective one, I'm just relating a very modern theory with our folk wisdom. Okay, if we go to the folk tales of our own communities, then we can relate these things. Personally, I am also working with certain folk tales in the backdrop of the psychoanalytical theory of Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung. So I don't think that I got interested in that area so much. So a folk wisdom, a narratology that has come inside us in the form of story, in the form of tale, in the form of trickster tale, in the form of certain moral stories, and how that very idea, after listening to the story is stored in one part, and in another part of our brain, in the subconscious of our brain, we have that collective unconscious that is coined by Carl Jung. So the last question that I have written here is whether the narratives are believed or the incident that are experienced. Okay, this is a kind of bifurcation. This is a kind of bifurcation on the narration of the story. When we listen to a story, when we listen to a kind of folk tales, what is stored in our mind, whether that what somebody has experienced. If I tell a story, whether my experiences will be remembered or the narrative minus me will be remembered. Okay, I don't know whether I am clear with whether I can tell the whole things very clearly or not. That I'm again repeating the thing that if I listen to a story, if I tell a story, and if I bring myself as a character into the story, yes, I experienced when I went to the riverside in the very early in the morning and somebody was calling me. If I say that, whether the listener will remember the incident, what I experienced, or the listeners will remember that, okay, yes, this might happen, this happens normally. Whether it is an individualized version of the narration will be remembered, will be stored in the memory, or the collective idea of the story will be remembered. These questions might occur, and if we raise this question, I think that it will be very clear about the epistemic function of the belief narratives. Next slide, please. Okay. So this is these things, whatever I have given in this slide, these things we'll be discussing in the next section. Narration as means that evokes belief-related experiences, participatory consciousness. Okay, let me say a few lines on this. Participatory consciousness, what we understand as participatory consciousness, whether as a listener, I am ready to participate in the narration of the story or not. So whether my participation is counted or not. Say when a grandmother tells stories, when a mother tells stories to the children, when elders tell stories to the children, how participatory they are. So in this connection, I just want to mention one of the incidents of my field study here, because I think that will make the whole thing clear. When I was doing my PhD, we were taken into a village. It was a village of a tribal community. My part was to collect certain folk tales, because we were divided into different studies. Me and another junior of mine. So we were asked to collect the folk tales of that community. So we met a very elderly person. We went to his house. We were sitting there. He was sitting in a chair. We were sitting in two chairs. And we asked him, okay, at least tell some of the stories we have to collect it. So he started telling the stories of his own community. So in the meanwhile, So one of our very experienced teacher reached there because they were also there. Our teachers were also with us. So he asked me, what you are doing? Well, sir, I am collecting stories, folk tales. I told that I am collecting folk tales and we are writing it down. Sir told me, oh, no, this is not the way of collecting folk tales. He is just narrating certain sentences. He is not telling him a folk tale. Then we asked her what to do. He said, okay, wait. He went out, he brought almost 10 little children he brought. He asked them to sit. He asked the elderly person to sit in front of them. And he asked me and my co-researcher to sit in a place from where the narrator cannot see us. Then he said, okay, from behind the curtain, you just observe. You observe. So, okay, we did accordingly what he said. Then when we notices how the facial expressions, how the participants, how the small children, when there is a change in the facial expression of the person, of the narrator, the small children, their also faces started changing. There is an awe, there is a mystery. When he says some funny things, they also start laughing. Yes, that is what the participatory consciousness is. And without the participatory consciousness, it is very difficult to grasp the belief narratives, to grasp what is told, what is actually meant by the narratives. So participation of the listener along with the narrator is one of the mandatory criteria regarding the dissemination of the tales. So while coming to the second one, we will not deliberate on that line right now. Belief constitute a central dimension of the phenomenological and all these things. We'll be coming into in the next class. Change the slide, please. Okay. Believing as a practice. Believing as a practice. It's a kind of practice. That means whenever we hear, how we consider how we take it as a kind of practice of continuity. Our previous generation knew these things, they believed. We came to know it from them. We start believing. We are passing it to the next generation. They are believing. So in that way, when we can connect it, when we can connect all these things, then these participatory ideas, these ideas that is already there in our mind, that already there with us, they become a kind of practice. They become a kind of practice for us, which lend us to a conception of ideas of the ecological concern. I'm again going back to the idea of the river spirit. So why should not we go to some parts of the river? Why we should not go to this time of the year? Recently, there was a post. Because this is the time of the breeding of the fishes. I'm again coming back to the very idea of fishes. There was a post that one of my friend has written that cannot there be a rule that in this month fishes should not be taken. Why? Because they are full of eggs now. Okay, so in order to maintain an ecological balance, cannot we believe those narratives? Can't we go back to those stories that are told from one generation to the other generation? Cannot we go back to those things that are already there with us? So it gives us a kind of mental map. it gives us a kind of map. If that map is nowhere drawn, a map of certain limitations, a map of some kind of morality, a map of some kind of do's and do nots, a map of some kind of believing what my elders says, what the story says, how we can relate our understanding, the power of the world. How can we understand the power of the world with the help of these narratives? So, the belief narratives is a kind of door. When we open it opens up a lot of doors to us. Because why I'm not using the metaphor of a window, why I'm not saying that belief narrative is a window, there is a reason for that. Because if I consider it as a window, then I will have to remain in the other side of the window, and I will have to see it through the window. But if we take the metaphor of a door, then I think we can understand that, okay, with the help of this narrative, we can move out. We can enter into another world. We can move into different worlds in order to understand what we do not see, in order to understand what we do not hear, in order to understand what we cannot sense, in order to understand what we cannot smell. So I think that whatever is introduced in the name of belief narrative in today's lecture, I know that in everyone's mind, because with respect to all the participants present here today, some kind of stories have come to our mind. Some kind of these kind of things have come. Oh, in my community also this kind of narration is there. In my folk tales also this kind of narration is there. I have also heard a story like this, why I should not do this, do's and do nots, based on certain kind of some experiences. So from my part, I will end up here today as an introduction to belief narrative, because I would like to listen to some responses and reactions. And if it can, I know that you might have a lot of queries, you might have a lot of questions. And I just want to face these questions, and so that tomorrow we can enter into our next part. That is, that I think all of you know that we'll be talking about social cohesion in tomorrow's class, how it, because to believe narrative for social cohesion and cultural interaction. This is the, you can stop the slideshow now. So we can think about it. We can think about our own communal ideas, own cultural ideas. So that is why I just want to have some reactions and responses from the respected participants, whether some things have been generated into your mind about these kind of narratives, or any kind of orality in which we grew up, in the backdrop of which we grew up. I would like to have some responses and any questions.
Hello, ma'am. Good
Yeah.
evening.
Good evening. Good
evening. Yeah. Like you said about bark, which is something, it's a very interesting topic, how it exists in certain parts of the river. And then because of that, because of the existence in that part of the river, automatically by, what do you call it? Like by succession, that part of the river in certain ways becomes holy. We can call it in holy in both ways, of course.
Yes. Yeah.
So like we have this concept, even in Bengali, we have something called Nishi, which is very different, of course. Nishi is something that is said to come at night, and it calls you. So again, the belief narrative around it, I believe, would be something like this Nishi coming in. It's almost like a warning to not go out in the dark, because now we have electric lights. In those times, they did not have electric lights. You had a lantern, which might not have
This
worked.
is, this is what I was telling, because you see that in Japan, what happens with the advancement of science and technologies, these things, people started disbelieving, then again going back, something like that. Yeah. Yes. Please carry on.
Yeah, this thing, because we have this, like, again, the communal aspect is like in my own mother's family, we have stories like my uncle got called by somebody and he went, and then he was sick and things like that. These stories that have existed along certain lines, and people in a certain generation, like our generation, finds it difficult to believe that somebody dead will come and call you in the middle of the night, as we live in a very different life. And so I think this is also a very interesting, like, first of all, a very interesting topic. Thank you so much for for having this class, this work, this entire session. And also the fact that I think this ecological, I wanted to ask another thing, actually. I'll come to the question.
Yes.
This ecological aspect of the belief narrative, this
Yeah.
river spirits, the trickster spirit. You spoke of the the trickster spirit.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wanted to ask a little more. I think, will we have some details on a trickster spirit in this
Yes,
respect?
yes, yes. Because you see, because the thing is that the very idea of supernatural is also connected here.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Yeah. Because what you said that people, the person becomes sick. You see, you say that your uncle went, isn't it? Your uncle went. Yes,
Yes.
someone's the stories are told with the help of someone's experience. That is the most important thing in belief narrative. Okay, this is not just telling a tale where the narrator is away, but either the narrator or the narrator's relative, someone, father or whoever it is, that he or she experiences. So the connection of the experience and the narratology. Are you asking that, Anshita?
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to ask that,
Yeah.
and I also want to, like you said, that we'll already have some details on the trickster spirit part in
Yeah.
this in the narrative. That is what I wanted to ask as well. I just wanted to add is that, would it, like, when we look at trickster spirit, especially, I'm sure we'll have more discussion on it. When we look at trickster spirit, specifically trickster spirit,
Yeah.
because we are kind of in a very, I would say it's a very gross generalization, but then again, I'm generalizing when I'm saying it, is that a lot of more religions that are kind of established, dominant, the religions that we have right now, the established religions in certain ways, we have this a very clear, demarcated idea about what is right and what is wrong. So this is the moral, the line between moralities, that right and evil kind of exists very, I would say, I don't know if I'm saying it in the right
No, no,
way.
no, 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 it's okay. But the thing is that if we go epistemologically, sort of this borderline between right and wrong and
Uh,
morality, these are very blurred.
yes, yes, exactly.
There
That's
are
what
very
I'm gonna ask.
blurred distinction between this, and it will also be very wrong to connect ritual or practices with religiosity.
Huh. True, true.
Religiosity is really something very different, because you see, I will minus religiosity from here, because
Yes, ma'am.
here comes the psychoanalysis of the collective unconscious. So
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
were saying that it is very hard to believe that my uncle also experienced, but in some sense you are believing also.
Yeah, of course, definitely. When he says that, it's, of course, we believe in that. I mean, and another thing is that we are kind of, uh, with with coming time, with the fact that, like you said, science, like, moving forward and forward, and we tend to negate parts of our own wisdom that exists in our place, in our family lines, in our genealogies, in our communities. Like, I just wanted to ask is, I'm sorry, the question came out wrong about the religion thing. I just wanted to say is that I think, like, the presence of trickster spirits and even rituals in the very art, even in the very act of doing something in nature or in natural settings,
Yeah.
it also reflects this part of humanity that I feel like it actually reflects this part of humanity that we as a whole, like collective unconsciousness, we as a whole not only are looking at nature, it's not only the ecological aspect of it, but also the social and the
Yes,
identity.
that is my next class. Tomorrow's class is on that only. Tomorrow's session is that only. But I just want to add one thing, Anshita,
Yeah.
that uh, this is where this is a kind of current.
Yeah.
Zoya Kumari also wants to ask something. Okay, just I'm giving the answer to Anshita, then she will ask. So this is a kind of undercurrent. Okay, there is also a session on AI, because you will see, I will show you a lot of picturesque things made by AI on different kind of belief narratives, on different kind of spirits. Okay, how this come up, because they are in the mindset. The bark is not same for all. But if in the Google I type bark, Assamese as a river spirit in Assam, you see a different kind of things. Okay, so yes, ma'am is writing that we have grown up with. Okay, I'll just read it out. Then Jaya Kumari will ask the question. We have grown up with the superstition that if a cat crosses, yes, that is the thing. So I think Anshita, look at this sentence, that if a cat crosses our path while driving a car, it is considered unlucky and inauspicious. Yes, this is belief narrative. Okay, if we go on, nobody, I don't think that somebody can give you some other things. But the thing is that the movement of the cat is like this. You will not see it, and the car might slip. Okay, the wheels of
Yes,
the
ma'am.
cars might slip. That is, I think that is the reason. Because you see, we can find out the rationalities by our side. That is also true. It's okay,
Yes,
Zaya
ma'am.
Kumari wants to ask something. Yeah, please, Zaya.
Yeah, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, ma'am. My question is that you were telling about this diversification and this social action. Okay, so since these are the people from the narrative area, means, from the local areas, when you take the ideas, how you come to the conclusion that actually what they are saying it is truth or it is some kind of
No.
a story they have made. So how you make the difference about that?
Yes.
That this is actually this is what they are saying it is correct or what we are just hearing. So
Yes.
how you come to this conclusion? I just want
No.
to know how.
I have not come to any conclusion. There is no conclusion of belief narratives. The more I study, the more I got engrossed in all these things, at least for this session. The thing is that we cannot come to any conclusion. The thing is that we understand one thing, that as it is a communal belief. Yes, this is not individual belief, not at all. Is the belief connected with our folk narratives? They are connected they are understood only in a given context of a community. That is true. Okay, some of the things we may not understand. Say outside the community, we might not understand. We might not. Okay. And if I ask myself a question, why this rule is there, why it is not to be done, why it is to be done, if I ask myself, okay, let me ask a question, okay, I might get an answer. If another person from the same community asks the question, he or she might get another answer. So there is little idea about this authentic answering.
Okay.
Every answer might have an authentic relativity. For me, there might be an authentic answer. For you, there might be another authentic answer. So there cannot be one answer or one conclusion. This is not possible at all. But the narrations, the folk beliefs, the folk tales that are there, they are always there. Because right now I am working on a trickster tale from my community. There is a person who is very cunning. Okay, so he wanted to have something. He wanted to have some homemade cakes type things, but there was no ingredients. But he has made all the possible tricks to collect the ingredients. Okay, within every trick there is a belief. Okay, within every trick there are 3 or 4 tricks in the tale. Within every trick there is a belief. So it's such an interesting trickster tale that yes, this is possible, because we also know that I also heard this thing. So for me there is an answer, for you there is an answer, and there cannot be a very distinct demarking line between believing and action. The action might be different. It might be different from my generation. What Anshita said, that she does not want to believe, but somewhere she is believing.
Yeah,
Is it?
yeah, it is actually the question that when working on this type of fields, then how we come to the conclusion.
No. How can you come to a conclusion? This is not possible. What actually I want to focus is that a study on the belief narratives will give us a very wide angle or wide insight into the folk wisdom of our own community, of our own oral literature. Okay. So here is also a question. It's yeah. Thank you for the question, Divya J. Bora. Can we differentiate between a child and an adult, their role as listeners and narrative, considering with? Yes, obviously. Because the first answer to this question will be that it depends upon our experiences of the world. A child experience will totally be different, might be with certain limitations, and then elders' experiences might be with some other limitations. Interesting thing happens every day in my Dr. Kiran Wali. Also, if somebody sneezes, do not move out. This belief is there in my community also. If somebody started moving and if somebody sneezes, okay, stop, something like that. Okay, so a child perception of the world is definitely it is narrower than an adult's perception of the world. But so if I give example of in my home, my mother-in-law sees 100 plus. Sometimes she says an interesting sentence. Yeah, we believe these things. I do not know whether you people are believing or not, but it is to be believed. I always consider it to be a very interesting thing for me, and I also feel blessed that okay, they are also respecting that okay, with the advancement of all this education, all this knowledge, you might have different knowledge, but the knowledge of our generation, the knowledge of our folk wisdom, it also have got a lot of understanding and a validation. Okay, Archita Banerjee, ma'am, such a similar tale is also there. And yes, it is there in all community. We have got these kind of things. Nesar going through menstruation a few days ago. Yes, this is Ambubasi in Assam. This is Ambubasi for a few days, and we are not supposed to pluck fruits or leaves during those days because it is symbolically bleeding just like a woman. Yeah, if I understand this matter, so during these days when Earth is in menstruation, what will be Ambubasi just just after a few days. So it is almost it's rains. Nowadays the climate is changing, but it rains and rains and rains. And during these times, I think the whole soil and everywhere, it is not a very feasible. They are not in a very feasible condition for plucking or for some other things, because I cannot think of a time previously with umbrella, with some other things, that going out, taking all these things is very possible during those days. I understand it in my way. Shelly Birdie, I think she has something to say.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Yeah.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you are audible.
Ma'am, first of all, it was a very enlightening session, and I'm eagerly looking forward to the upcoming sessions, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ma'am, my question to you is, apart from the fact that belief narratives change over time when it orally passes down from generation to generation, means a more personalized version arises. So, according to you, what can be the other factors that can make the belief narratives change over time?
Okay. So whatever comes to my mind first after you're listening to your question, that while in any narration, in any folk tale or any other narration, the first thing is that we also, while narrating, the narrators also tell us about some kind of setting. Okay, some kind of setting. Say the riverside. I'm again coming to river with the same thing. Say riverside. So we also have a river here, but the river banks in say before 50 years, before 40 years is not like today. Yes,
Correct.
it's not like today. Yes. So while we during wedding and all other things, we go to fetch water from the river. Now we have a very nice structure of say steps are there. We can go there to take water from the rivers. So those things were not there in the earlier times because the whole setting is changing. Our surroundings are changing, either as a man-made or some it's a man-made or from any other structural things. As the settings are changing, might be there is a necessity to present the belief narrative the way that we understand, the way that our children will understand, that our next generation will understand. But they will never be, they will always be present in any community, any oral narrative, or across the world, irrespective of space and time. This is what I feel and what I understand.
Understood, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think it is already 9. I do not know if some questions are there. I'm ready here, but the organizers will take over.
I think all questions have been answered.
Yeah.
Participants, last call for questions. If any, we can take one.